Welcome to Paradox Lab. Imagine waking up and discovering a superpower is talking about your home like it's an item in a shopping cart. Not an ally, not a partner, a purchase, a takeover, a possession. That's the cold shock at the center of the Greenland story right now. President Trump has revived and intensified his push for the United States to gain control of Greenland. And the way it's being framed has turned a remote Arctic island into a global flashpoint. On the surface, it sounds absurd. Greenland is massive, icy, and sparsely populated. Most people only think about it when they see it looming on a distorted world map. But this is exactly why it matters. Greenland is one of those places that seems empty until you understand what it sits on top of, what it sits between, and what it controls access to. In geopolitics, empty can be priceless. Trump's argument, in his own words, is built around security, especially the idea that Denmark hasn't handled threats from Russia and China in the region, and that US control is necessary. He has pushed the message hard enough that it's not just a headline anymore. It's created real diplomatic fallout across Europe. Here's what makes this moment different from the older Buy Greenland storyline. The pressure isn't just rhetorical. The dispute has spilled into tariffs and trade threats aimed at European allies in response to European support for Denmark and Greenland's position. That shift matters because it turns a bizarre proposal into leverage, a way to force the issue onto the agenda, even if the answer is still no. And the answer has been no, loudly, repeatedly, and with growing anger. Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, with its own government and its own politics. When outsiders talk about it like a commodity, it hits a nerve that goes deeper than international relations. It hits identity. In January 2026, Greenlandic leaders have publicly rejected the idea of joining the US and emphasized that Greenland's future is for Greenlanders to decide. That's the human side of this story that gets lost when people treat Greenland like a chess square. Greenland has around 56,000 people. This is not an empty prize. It's a society, families, languages, history, a long, complicated relationship with Denmark, and an internal debate about independence that is real, but not the same thing as becoming part of the United States. So why is Trump so fixated? Because Greenland sits in the Arctic, and the Arctic is changing faster than almost anywhere else on Earth. That isn't just climate trivia. It means routes that were once fantasy become seasonally possible. It means access to minerals becomes more realistic. It means whoever has influence there has influence over the future map of trade, defense, and resources. Then there's the military reality. Greenland already hosts a critical US presence at Pituffik Space Base, a strategic site in the Arctic linked to space and missile warning missions. Recent reporting describes the Pentagon planning major infrastructure improvements there, including runway upgrades, evidence that the US military sees Greenland as more than just a distant outpost. This is where the Paradox Lab twist kicks in. Greenland is already part of the Western security architecture. It's already tied into NATO through Denmark. And yet, the rhetoric of, "we need to control it," risks damaging the very alliances that make Arctic security possible in the first place. That's why the European reaction has been so sharp. Leaders have criticized using tariffs against allies as coercion, warning that it drags everyone into a downward spiral. This isn't just a spat about one island. It's a stress test for the idea that borders, sovereignty, and alliances still mean what they're supposed to mean.
And the reason it escalates so quickly is psychological as much as political. When a powerful country frames another place as a security necessity, it creates a narrative where normal rules start to sound optional. That's why people keep using words like precedent. Because if you normalize the idea that a sitting leader can publicly pressure for control over someone else's territory, through economic punishment, through threats, through constant repetition, you start to stretch the limits of the world order without ever firing a shot. For Greenlanders, the fear isn't theoretical, it's practical. When great powers start circling, daily life becomes uncertain. Investment becomes politicized. Local debates get hijacked by outside agendas. Even independence, something many Greenlanders discuss as a long-term goal, can become distorted. Because suddenly the conversation isn't, what do we want to build? It becomes, who is trying to claim us? For Denmark, it's also existential, because Greenland isn't a side issue. It's part of the kingdom. That means this isn't just US versus Greenland. It's US pressure colliding with a European state inside the same alliance system that's supposed to prevent exactly this kind of confrontation. So what is going on with Greenland right now, in plain terms? A US president is openly pushing for US ownership or control of Greenland, framing it as a security requirement, and backing the pressure with tariff threats that drag allies into the dispute. Greenland and Denmark are refusing, emphasizing self-determination and sovereignty, while Europe rallies around the principle that you can't bargain for someone else's homeland. And beneath it all is the real engine of the story. The Arctic is becoming more strategically valuable, and everyone knows it. Greenland is the kind of place that feels distant until you realize it sits on the shortest lines between continents, inside a region where military positioning, space infrastructure, and resource competition are all intensifying. That's why this isn't fading, it's heating up, because it's not only about Greenland. It's about what kind of world we're living in next, one where sovereignty is respected even when geography is valuable, or one where value becomes the argument. And that's the unsettling part. Greenland is icy, quiet, and remote. But right now, it's a mirror. It shows you what happens when climate, resources, security, and ego collide in one place, until the entire planet starts paying attention to a land that most people couldn't point to on a map. In other words, Greenland hasn't moved. The world around it has.